What's up, guys? Hokagepue here, back with a video. I'm ready to talk. I'm over Bayern's Champions League exit. I'm over it. I took some time to sulk, and I'm ready to talk about things. And let's talk about the Ballon d'Or. Now, the Ballon d'Or, the voting, the trophy will not be given out until later this year. And I'm sure I'm gonna make more Ballon d'Or videos throughout this year. And I tell myself every year, guys, I don't care about the Ballon d'Or. It's an invalid trophy. It's a popularity contest. It's rigged. It's this and that. But every year I get dragged into it. And I'm thinking about the Ballon d'Or this year, and we have a very interesting predicament. 7 players, in my opinion, can win the Ballon d'Or at this moment in time. 7 players at this moment in time, April 2025. 7 players can genuinely win this Ballon d'Or. How? How is this possible? We'll go through each of these players, but I want to hit on the main reason why the Ballon d'Or race is still very open among 7 players, in my opinion, is due to the Club World Cup, the new format, the FIFA Club World Cup, being hosted in the United States a year before the United States World Cup 2026. The reason why the Ballon d'Or race is going to be so wide open, and it is still wide open still, is because of the Club World Cup. Why is that? You guys, the Club World Cup isn't a new thing. It's not a new concept. We've had the Club World Cup every single year. They do some phony-ass tournament, and the team who wins the Champions League usually always 99% of the time wins the damn thing, and they get a nice little crest on their jersey the next season. Why this year is the Club World Cup keeping the Ballon d'Or race so open? Let me tell you why. Because of the new format, because of the fact that FIFA have turned this into a full-blown 32-team group stage, knockout stage style tournament, a true Club World Cup, as the name states, like a regular World Cup, but for clubs, the fact that they've turned it into this kind of format, and people are complaining about it, people saying players are getting exhausted, players are playing too much, which I agree, they will want a lot of stock to be put into this tournament when it comes to which team is regarded the best team in the world, which players are regarded the best players in the world, which players win the best player in the world awards, which players get the most PR. So the reason why the Ballon d'Or is still so open, in my opinion, between 7 players is due to the fact that the Club World Cup, FIFA will, without a doubt, you guys, behind the shadows, behind the curtains, they will put pressure on all the people who vote for the Ballon d'Or. They will put pressure on them to put a lot of stock into what happens at this Club World Cup. Why? Because if they do that, if people who vote for the Ballon d'Or come out and say, oh, they start bigging up the Club World Cup, they start saying how this tournament played such an important factor in their voting, it will give the competition some validity. It will give some weight behind the competition, some importance behind the competition. And, it's going to be given that by force because FIFA wants to keep making money. FIFA wants this Club World Cup to mean something to the fans. So what are you going to do? You're going to have this World Cup, this Club World Cup, have a direct effect on who gets called the best player in the world, have a direct effect on who wins the UEFA Player of the Year, on who wins the Ballon d'Or. Don't be surprised. That is why this Ballon d'Or race, in my opinion, is still so open between 7 players who can genuinely win this thing, because you're in a situation in the Champions League right now where 3 teams can win trebles, PSG, Inter, and Barcelona. Players from all 3 of those teams, which we'll get to right now, can potentially win the Ballon d'Or. And you have players who are knocked out of the Champions Leagues, Real Madrid, Bayern, teams like that, who have superstar players that can potentially be in Ballon d'Or conversations. They will be playing at the Club World Cup. And if they do well, all of a sudden those players on those teams, due to FIFA wanting to force the issue and force the importance of this new format at FIFA Club World Cup onto us fans, those players all of a sudden playing in the Club World Cup can reignite their momentum in the fight for that Ballon d'Or, for the fight for those best player in the world shouts, PR shouts, whatever, popularity contests. It's all in the game. It's dirty. I think it's lame, but they're going to do it, and we can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it. So that's why I say in my thumbnail, is it rigged? In a sense, it is, because they're forcing this competition that no one really cared about onto us with a new format, and they're going to force its importance onto us by basically pressuring and rigging the votes of Ballon d'Or, of UEFA Player of the Year awards, of Best Player of the Year awards. They're going to put pressure on those journalists, on the coaches, on the players who vote for those awards. They're going to put pressure on those people to put stock into what happens at this FIFA Club World Cup this summer in the United States. So let me know what you think in the comments. But I genuinely think, how are you going to force interest in this tournament? You're going to force it upon fans by making it affect who gets called the best player in the player of the year, who wins the Ballon d'Or, who wins the UEFA Player of the Year award. And conversations about those trophies, conversations about who wins these individual awards. I can't speak today. Who wins these individual awards gets clicks, gets likes, gets motion, makes money, brings attention to the sport. And FIFA wants that, especially since this tournament is going to be held in the United States, and especially a year out from the World Cup in 2026 being hosted in North America, primarily the United States. So that is what my main reasoning is for this Ballon d'Or race being still so open, and why I think these 7 players that we will get to now in my beautiful Google Slides, why these players all have a genuine chance at winning the Ballon d'Or. Now, let's get to the players. Let's start. I kind of ranked these in who has the most serious chances, in my opinion. So we're starting off with the Barca guys. We're starting off with the Barca boys. All 3 of these guys on the screen here, they have a genuine chance at this Ballon d'Or. They have a genuine chance because Barca, they're going to win La Liga, in my opinion. They have a Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid this weekend. They've been pimping Real Madrid all season. So all 3 of these guys have been putting up huge performances in big games for Barcelona, in El Clásico, in the Champions League, in key games in the La Liga title race. So the league title is practically theirs. Copa del Rey, we'll see what happens, but Barcelona owns Real Madrid this season. And the Champions League, these guys have a genuine chance at winning the Champions League. They're in for a treble. This Barca team is in for a treble. And you're probably looking at the 3 guys in this team that get the most PR, that get the most love in the wins, the losses, the draws for this Barca team on their journey to the treble. These guys will have the most momentum for Barcelona in this Ballon d'Or race. Now, I wanted to put Lewandowski in this conversation as well, but just the fact with Lewandowski is, and I love Lewandowski, guys. You guys know I rep Lewa. I rep Lewa. He ghosted for like 2.5, 3 months of this season. He came back and started scoring again, but he's now going to be out for the semifinals. He's out for 3 to 4 weeks right now with an injury for Barcelona. That's an issue. So I just think these younger guys, these more up-and-coming guys in the Barcelona team will have more momentum, especially within their own fan base, to push for the Ballon d'Or and get that PR push into the limelight to try and win that trophy. So you're looking at Lamine Yamal, 17 years old, superstar. He's a superstar. He is, in terms of star power and what his fame, the PR he has, it's very similar to when Mbappe broke onto the scene as a 16, 17-year-old. It's very similar. Rafinha, breakout season under Hansi Flick, top goal scorer in the Champions League. Goals and assists wise in the Champions League going crazy. Hat-trick against Bayern in the group stage. Goals against Real Madrid. Impact in La Liga. Key goals. He scores goals, but he also scores important goals. Rafinha is also going to have a huge push for that Ballon d'Or. And also, the reason why it's important for Barcelona as well to win this treble, and why these players really need to win the treble, in my opinion, to win the Ballon d'Or, is because Barcelona won't be in the Club World Cup. Because of how poor they've been the last couple of years, Barcelona is not going to be in the Club World Cup. So that's why if these guys want to win the Ballon d'Or, if these guys have a chance of winning the Ballon d'Or, it has to be by winning the treble for Barcelona. So these guys, and winning the treble for Barcelona this year is 1000% a possibility. And then you got Pedri, who in my opinion should be the Ballon d'Or winner. He's the most important team for this Barcelona side. He is the system for Barcelona. He controls everything. He dictates everything. He is the maestro of this Barcelona team. And I think slowly now, as you see, when he wasn't playing a couple games for Barcelona these last couple weeks, Barcelona doesn't look as good. Barcelona looks a little bit weaker. They're conceding 3 goals to Dortmund. Guras is scoring a hat trick on them. They're not in control of games as much. Pedri comes in, everything gets solved. People are realizing that Pedri 1000% has a case for the Ballon d'Or if Barcelona can push and get that treble. So 3 players right here from Barcelona that could win the Ballon d'Or. Next, Kylian Mbappe. Now, people will class him as a flop transfer this season. People will bring up all the drama going out Real Madrid. He hasn't lived up to the hype, all that money. He rejected Real Madrid year after year after year, and he's having such an underwhelming season. The fact of the matter is for Mbappe, he's having a horrible season apparently for his standards. He's second in La Liga goal scoring. And yes, they're knocked out of the Champions League, guys, right? They're knocked out of the Champions League. They got embarrassed against Arsenal. Horrible performance over 2 legs. But the thing for Kylian Mbappe, the thing for Real Madrid is this Copa del Rey final coming up this weekend. It is a final. I do think Barcelona is going to wipe the floor with Real Madrid like they've been doing this season. I truly believe that. But at the end of the day, it's a final. It's an El Clasico final. The world, lots of people will be watching this game. If he can do something in that game, if he can lead Real Madrid to victory in that game in the Copa del Rey final, that's a big PR boost all of a sudden for him. Because you also have to take into account he's French. He's the French star boy. He's the Ballon d'Or is a French award. It's not a UEFA award. It's not a FIFA award. I think sometimes people forget that. It is a French award, right? If Mbappe wins a Copa del Rey, beating Barcelona in an El Clasico final, Real Madrid will be playing in the Club World Cup. If he pops off at the Club World Cup, if he leads Real Madrid to winning the Club World Cup, scoring goals throughout the tournament, he's going to get that push. He's going to get that push from the forced Club World Cup importance that FIFA will push onto the voters for these awards. He's going to get that French love. And if he does something in the Copa del Rey final, that's a huge match. That's a huge match. If you don't rate the domestic trophies, fine. But it's an El Clasico final for the trophies. That's a huge match. So Mbappe, as much as people might be counting him out, not even thinking of him for the Ballon d'Or, just hold on a second. Because we know the Ballon d'Or 1000% can be rigged and 1000% has an element of favoritism and popularity in terms of its voting and who wins. Mbappe is French. It's a French award. Real Madrid plays in the Club World Cup. The Club World Cup is going to be forced to have some level of importance by having it directly affect the result of the Ballon d'Or and the best player in the world awards. And Copa del Rey final, El Clasico final against Barcelona, Mbappe really has a chance in my opinion. Now, I don't think Real Madrid will do anything at the Club World Cup. I think they're too weak right now. I don't think they'll win the Copa del Rey final. And, if they go on and don't do anything in these competitions, Mbappe has zero chance. I'd put him at the bottom of the list of these 7 players. But there's still a lot to play for Real Madrid and for Mbappe the next 3-4 months to put him back into a position where he could actually win the Ballon d'Or. It's not a crazy shout, given the questionable voting and questionable awards given out at these Ballon d'Or ceremonies the last 15 years. So Mbappe, watch out for him, man. Watch out for Mbappe. Next on the list, Ousmane Dembele. He's the face of that PSG team. And PSG have already won the league. They haven't lost in the league. Maybe we'll see if they let off the gas in Ligue 1. Maybe they won't have an undefeated season. But I bet these PSG guys, the team, wants to end the season undefeated in Ligue 1. I bet they want to. So they're going to go for the undefeated season in Ligue 1. They're in for a treble, so they have their domestic cup as well. And these guys genuinely have a chance at winning this Champions League trophy. In my opinion, my favorites for the Champions League so far, with the semifinal teams out there, out of PSG, Arsenal, Inter Milan, and Barcelona, Barcelona and PSG are very even. Barcelona and PSG are very even, in my opinion, in terms of their ability to win the Champions League. If Ousmane Dembele and this PSG side win the treble, right? And Ousmane Dembele is the face of this team. He's been scoring key goals. He started this calendar year off with what, 15 goals in 6 games, leading this PSG team as the face of a treble winning PSG team. Also, it would be PSG's first ever Champions League trophy. You guys, Ousmane Dembele would shoot right to the top of the list for Ballon d'Or contendership. 1,000,000%. Ousmane Dembele 1,000,000% can be lifting that Ballon d'Or trophy. And it's not because he's being carried by his teammates. Ousmane Dembele has been excellent this season. Yes, PSG struggled in the first couple months of the season. From August to November, PSG struggled. But since December, if we're being honest, PSG has probably been the most consistent team. And along with Barcelona, they've probably been the best and most exciting team to watch, along with Barcelona. So this is a great PSG team. They can win the treble. I don't know why I'm brain farting right now. I'm not sure why, but I don't think they're in the Club World Cup. Hold on, let me just double check so I don't say anything stupid. PSG is in the Club World Cup as well. So again, if they do well at the Club World Cup and do what they do in the league season and potentially win a treble and a Champions League, whatever, and do well at the Club World Cup, getting the push of that fake ass competition, Ousmane Dembele 1,000,000%. 1,000,000% can win this Ballon d'Or. It's the truth, and that would be crazy. After all the hate he got at Barcelona, all the doubt that he got, will he succeed at PSG? That first season at PSG last season, people trolling him. That would be a crazy turnaround, and he would actually then fulfill what many people thought Ousmane Dembele would be, a potential Ballon d'Or winner. That's crazy, right? It's crazy, but yeah, Ousmane Dembele absolutely has a chance. Second to last player here, we have Harry Kane. Now, Bayern did get knocked out of the Champions League in the quarterfinal to Inter Milan. Very close game, 4-3 on aggregate for Inter. It was a respectable loss. It's not like Bayern got outclassed. Harry Kane was decent, was all right across two legs. He missed a huge chance. He did score in the second leg to almost, mount a comeback, but it didn't quite happen. But the reason why Harry Kane is also in these conversations is top goal scorer in the Bundesliga. It looks like he's finally going to win his first trophy while being the top goal scorer for that team and in that league. And the big thing, English tax, and 4, Club World Cup tax. Now that's kind of like the common thing here. That's why I'm saying the Club World Cup is the reason why in the title of this video, why 7 players can potentially win the Ballon d'Or. If Bayern does well at the Club World Cup, if Bayern wins the Club World Cup, Harry Kane is 1,000,000% in those conversations for potentially winning the Ballon d'Or later this year. And that's just the truth of it. He's got the goals. He's got the stats for all the stats merchants. He has the name. He plays for one of the big teams. He plays for a huge team, top 3 club in the world in terms of stature and history. And again, with that Club World Cup push, if he does something on the Club World Cup and Bayern lift that trophy, Harry Kane will all of a sudden be in that conversation as players that could genuinely win the Ballon d'Or later this year. So, people might not like it. They might say, oh, well, him and Bayern got knocked out in the quarterfinal, this and that. That's why the factor of this FIFA Club World Cup, new format and everything, new trophy, whatever, all the advertisement behind it, all the money going into it, that's why this tournament in the summer in the US is going to make this Ballon d'Or conversation very interesting. So Harry Kane also in that conversation. And then finally, last player is Lautaro Martinez, another one of the players on this list that is in contention for the treble. Inter Milan can win a treble. They're tied on points in Serie A right now with Napoli. It's very close. I think both teams have 71 points. They could win their domestic cup competition, and they're in the semifinals against Barcelona in the Champions League. Now, Lautaro Martinez actually hasn't had the craziest seasons. One of his craziest seasons. In fact, in terms of goal scoring in the Serie A overall, he hasn't been stellar. In fact, you could argue Marcus Thuram has been better than him in the Serie A, in the league. That's not a bad argument. I think actually a lot of people in the Serie A and a lot of Inter fans would agree with me if I say that. But it's not about how many goals you score. It's about when you score. And he just dropped a goal in both legs against Bayern in the quarterfinal. It looks like he's getting up to scratch. It looks like his goal scoring is coming back. Lautaro Martinez, he is kind of the face of this Inter Milan team the last couple of years. He's been, apart from this season, the last couple of seasons, he's been putting up insane numbers for Inter. With a treble, they're also in the Club World Cup as well. If he does something in the Club World Cup, scores a lot of goals, and wins the whole thing with Inter Milan as well, again, same case as all the other players. He can get that push. Now, in my opinion, I don't see Inter winning the treble, but let's see what happens. I can't predict the future, but he's in trouble contention. He's starting to score in the Champions League in the big games, which is the games people really remember about, and he's playing in the Club World Cup as well. So Lautaro Martinez, just another player that can genuinely win the Ballon d'Or. Now, that was the end of my list. Let me know if I missed out on any players. I think those are the only 7 players that have a chance at winning this Ballon d'Or. Let me know if you disagree. I know, maybe 2 glaring omissions from this list are probably Lewandowski. I explained to you why I didn't put Lewandowski on this list, but another one is Mohamed Salah. Exited the Champions League too early. It is what it is. Mohamed Salah is just not going to have enough juice, in my opinion, compared to these other players when it comes to getting this Ballon d'Or. So 7 players, you guys, that can win the Ballon d'Or. And it's mainly, like I said a million times this video, it's because of this FIFA Club World Cup that FIFA is going to push on us fans. It's going to push on the journalists and players when it comes to voting for the Ballon d'Or and all these individual awards towards the end of the year this year. So it's going to be interesting how it all plays out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and yeah, that's all I got to say. See you guys in the next one. Peace.